it was just, I just kept it really simple. You know, I'm such a fan of, or I'm so committed to just the value of one's word.
Charlie Sheen made $150 million at the peak of his career, but by 2016, he was broke. Between 2007 and 2012, something happened that drained every penny. It wasn't just bad investments or expensive divorces. Charlie was spending $200,000 every single week on one thing. His dealers said even Mexican cartels couldn't believe how much he was buying. Then came a diagnosis in 2010 that changed everything. The hush money started flowing. $10 million to keep people quiet. But that was just the beginning of his nightmare. He was born on September 3, 1965, in a hospital in New York City. They named him Carlos Erwin Estevez. At the time, his father, Martin Sheen, was barely scraping by, pulling in just $95 a week doing off-Broadway plays while trying to feed a family of 6. His mother, Janet, had been an art student. Their apartment was small. The bills stacked up fast. His older siblings, Emilio, Ramon, and Renee, would all go into acting too. But from the start, Charlie felt different. Unlike the others, he would eventually drop the Estevez name and take his father's stage name Sheen, not just to fit in, but to separate, to carve his own path. That choice would follow him forever. When Charlie was 3, the family packed up and left New York. Martin had landed a film role in The Subject Was Roses, and it was enough to get them to Malibu in 1968. Their new home wasn't fancy, but it sat right in the heart of Hollywood's dream factory. Charlie was too young to understand it all, but he watched. He watched his dad vanish for months on movie shoots. He watched his mom juggle 4 kids with a shaky income. He tagged along to film sets. He wandered through industry parties. At 5 years old, he could name famous actors and understood what it meant to be somebody. He learned early that fame meant power, and he wanted both. At age 9, in 1974, Charlie got his first acting job. It was a tiny role in his dad's gritty World War II drama, The Execution of Private Slovik. He played a nameless kid at a wedding. On paper, it sounded harmless, but the film was about execution, death, betrayal. On set, he watched his father act out violent breakdowns again and again. Martin simulated his own death repeatedly, while the 9-year-old watched from the sidelines. Behind the scenes, adults were drinking hard, some using drugs to handle the heavy material. The director later admitted it was probably wrong to let a kid be there. But Martin believed Charlie had to learn what showbiz really looked like, and Charlie did. The darkness, the pressure, the way pain could be dressed up as art. Then came March 1977. Charlie was 12. He was flown to the Philippines to visit the set of Apocalypse Now, where Martin was playing the lead. The film was already cursed. It had been hit by a typhoon, the budget was ballooning, and Francis Ford Coppola was pushing Martin to the edge for the sake of realism. Charlie arrived to find his father nearly dead. Martin had suffered a massive heart attack on March 5th. He was crying, walking with a cane. His hair had turned completely gray. He looked like a ghost. Charlie saw him calling for a priest to give him last rites. That moment broke something open in him. The man he thought was invincible looked like he was 80, even though he was only 36. That was the moment Charlie later called the root of everything. The trauma that stuck. The moment he learned how fragile life really was. Back home, he started high school at Santa Monica High in 1979. He was a baseball prodigy. As a shortstop and pitcher, he had a 40-15 win record and could throw up to 85 miles per hour. His coach called him a model athlete, but Charlie's eyes were always somewhere else. His friends were Sean Penn, Rob Lowe, Chris Penn, Robert Downey Jr. They weren't just teammates. They were Hollywood royalty, and they partied like it. At night, they went to parties where coke and alcohol were normal. Industry people passed them joints like candy. Charlie was just 17 when he started drinking and smoking weed regularly. The parties were fun, but they also gave him something he didn't get at home: freedom, escape. a place to disappear. By 1983, his school life had collapsed. His attendance rate over 3 years was just 32%. He failed classes. He stopped bringing books home. His parents offered summer school. He said no. There's school during the summer? That's crazy. He had already decided. He was going to be famous. Baseball was over. He'd been offered a scholarship to the University of Kansas to play shortstop, but he turned it down. Instead, he made short films with Emilio and the Penn brothers. Over 200 Super 8 movies in total. That was where his heart was now. That same year, just weeks before graduation, he was expelled. His school days were done, but he wasn't worried. He promised his parents he'd get his GED if acting didn't work out. He didn't finish high school until 2013, when he finally got his diploma at age 48. In Hollywood, he changed his name. He stopped being Carlos Estevez and became Charlie Sheen. He'd already changed Carlos to Charlie as a child, but now he adopted his dad's stage name too. Martin had done it for survival. Casting agents wouldn't even return calls with a Spanish name. Charlie followed that same path. He later admitted, "I don't wake up feeling Latino. I'm a white guy in America." He had to blend in, and it worked. At 18, Charlie got his first real role in a 1984 TV movie called Silence of the Heart. He played Ken Cruz, the best friend of a suicidal teen. The film was heavy, full of guilt and grief. It forced him to show real emotion. It aired nationally. People noticed. Then came Out of the Darkness in 1985. He played a minor role opposite his dad, who was hunting the son of Sam Killer. It didn't get much attention, but it gave him a taste of professional sets and late-night Hollywood parties. And that's where cocaine first found him. That same year, he filmed The Boys Next Door. It was a dark story. Charlie played a violent teen. To stay in character, he isolated himself, never broke role, and even scared the crew. During one scene, he hit his co-star Maxwell Caulfield without warning, injuring him for real. The production almost shut down. He lost 18 pounds over the 35-day shoot. People whispered about his mental state. But Oliver Stone saw the footage and cast him in Platoon, despite admitting he was worried about Charlie's mind. In Lucas, 1986, he played Cappy, the football captain. The locker room scene took 47 takes. He cried from the pressure. He developed an eating disorder, dropping from 165 to 145 pounds. Corey Haim gave him prescription stimulants. That was the gateway to harder things. The film didn't do well at the box office. Charlie blamed his agent, fired him. By then, he was living on $47 a week in a rundown Studio City apartment with 2 roommates. Rent was $180. He ate top ramen, stole food from audition tables. His dad had cut him off financially after finding out he was using. They didn't speak for 6 months. He was about to give up and move to Ohio to work construction with an uncle. Then came Platoon. He hitchhiked to the audition because his 1976 Datsun had just been repossessed over $127 in missed payments. He walked in sweaty and desperate. Oliver Stone thought it was perfect. At the callback, Charlie injured his shoulder during a fake combat scene, but kept going. That sealed it. He got the part. It was a $6 million movie that would make him a star. But just days before, he had been 48 hours away from quitting Hollywood for good. In February 1986, Charlie Sheen found himself 500 feet in the air, hanging out of an open-door Huey helicopter above the Philippine jungle. It was during a battle scene for Platoon. The pilot banked too hard, the door swung wide, and Charlie lost his balance. He was 20 years old, unstrapped, seconds from falling. But Keith David was sitting next to him. In a moment that wasn't scripted, Keith grabbed Charlie by the shirt and gear and yanked him back from what would have been a straight drop to death. Filming stopped for 2 days. The crew was shaken. Safety protocols were rewritten, and Charlie never forgot it. He said it on television. Keith David saved his life. The near-death scare came after a brutal 30-day boot camp that almost broke the cast. Military advisor Dale Dye took them deep into the jungle before cameras ever rolled. No showers, no toilets, just foxholes, 70-pound packs, swamps, and rats. They dug trenches with their bare hands, ate cold sea rations, and slept soaked in sweat and mud. At night, Dye set off fake ambushes with explosives and blanks. Charlie lost 20 pounds, his boots filled with blisters that turned black with infection. Forrest Whitaker cut his hand on barbed wire. Johnny Depp got an ear infection. Willem Dafoe cracked his ribs falling during a stunt. Charlie started drinking heavily to cope. The fear, the noise, the darkness. It followed them into their dreams. And Oliver Stone made it worse. Oliver Stone didn't want actors. He wanted soldiers. He isolated Charlie from the rest of the cast, told the others not to talk to him, made him feel alone. At night, Stone woke them up with gunfire and explosions just to keep them scared. He wanted real tension, so he encouraged the Elias and Barnes actors to dislike each other. He made the set feel like war. Even the dirt wasn't right for him. He flew in red Vietnamese soil because the local ground didn't look good enough on camera. He barely slept. Once he accused the editor of hiding footage from him, even though it hadn't been shot yet. The actors hated him during filming, but years later, they admitted he pulled something raw out of them that couldn't have come any other way. After surviving Platoon, Charlie got a one-day cameo in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was paid $100,000 for 3 minutes of screen time. To look strung out, he stayed awake for 48 hours straight. He showed up glassy-eyed, twitchy, perfect. He improvised most of it. John Hughes watched from behind the camera and smiled. That little role changed everything. Charlie didn't just do war movies. He could do comedy. He could steal a scene in seconds. And behind the scenes, those Hollywood parties started. John Hughes invited him out. Cocaine came with it. Fast, easy, endless. He had money now. He had fame. And it all fed the habit. By late 1986, Platoon was winning awards, and Charlie was getting called back for reshoots. But something had changed. The cocaine wasn't casual anymore. He had gotten so deep that even the Mexican cartels thought he was dealing. He was just using that much. During one session, his nose bled for 18 hours. He shoved ice cubes up himself to stay standing. Oliver Stone nearly recast him, but the film exploded. It made $138 million on a $6 million budget, and Charlie's cut grew fast. By December 1986, he was worth $2 million. Nike endorsements followed, studio offers. It was everything he wanted, and everything that made the problem worse. Then came Wall Street in 1987. To play Bud Fox, Charlie studied finance like his life depended on it. He spent days at Bear Stearns, nights in seaport bars. He even threw $20,000 of his own money into stocks just to feel it. He earned $750,000 for the film, but the pressure cracked him. He was dating Daryl Hannah at the time, though they barely spoke on set. Critics called their chemistry negative, but the film worked. Michael Douglas won the Oscar. Greed is Good became a national echo. Charlie was a star, but inside, the cracks were spreading. In 1988, he joined Young Guns. He played Dick Brewer, learned to shoot and ride fast, and nearly lost control when his horse bolted during a scene. The film made $45.7 million in the US and $11 million abroad. Fans flooded the set. The studio hired Hell's Angels for security. The bikers got a cameo during Henry Hill's death scene. Charlie was untouchable. Then came 8 Men Out, another hit. He played Happy Felsch, soft and unsure, a ball player caught in a moral mess. He shot in Chicago, got good reviews, and bonded with the cast. But the drugs kept climbing. By 1988, he was pulling in $5 million a year, but cocaine was already woven into his routine. Emilio tried to step in, tried to help, but Charlie was slipping fast. He checked into rehab for the first time in 1990, said he was exhausted, told USA Today he was serious about sobriety. But the pattern had started. In Major League, he became Rick Wild Thing Vaughn. He trained at spring camp, threw real 95 BMP fastballs, the glasses, the walk-up music. It all became legend. The film made $49.8 million, and Charlie's rebel image became his real one. He earned $1.75 million. Then, on New Year's Day, 1990, he shot Kelly Preston. They were engaged. He said it was a gun-cleaning accident. The bullet grazed her arm. She went to Cedars-Sinai. Police didn't press charges. She stuck to the story. But everyone knew it wasn't just about guns. It was about coke, paranoia, and spiraling control. Tabloids paid $50,000 for the story. She left. His career didn't crash. Yet, he filmed Navy SEALs next. Rappelling from helicopters, underwater fights, real SEAL training. He blew out his back during a stunt and got hooked on painkillers, Percocet, Vicodin, from 3 different doctors. That injury never healed. The drugs just changed names. In 1991, he did Hot Shots, spoofed Top Gun, made $2.8 million and proved he could carry a comedy. The film grossed $78.9 million. Critics loved his deadpan timing. I Need Speed and Donuts. Studios wanted more. He did Hot Shots. Part 2 in 1993 earned $7 million. Trained with Van Damme's choreographer. Martial arts, kicks, explosions. But that same year, he testified in the Heidi Fleiss trial. He admitted to spending $50,000 on prostitutes. The mask was slipping. He was hospitalized for exhaustion during filming, delaying production 10 days. In The Three Musketeers, he clashed with the director, demanded more romantic scenes, and practiced sword fighting 4 hours a day. He made $3 million, but the cocaine slowed his reflexes. He couldn't hit marks, needed retakes. Still, the film made $53 million. Then came Rated X, a biopic about porn moguls. Emilio directed it. Charlie played Artie Mitchell, filmed raw sex scenes, relapsed again, too close to home. By 1991, Charlie was worth $12 million. He had a $4.2 million house in Malibu, another one in Beverly Hills for $2.8 million. He earned $15 million that year, but he was spending $200,000 a year on drugs. Dealers disguised as caterers dropped off cocaine on movie sets. His publicist said he was just exhausted. But leaked records told the truth. So did his face. So did his eyes. He did Major League 2 in 1994, got $2 million. Fans still loved Wild Thing, but off set, things were worse. He married Donna Peel in Vegas after 6 weeks. The marriage lasted 6 months. She said he spent $2,000 a week on prostitutes. Then came Spin City. Michael J. Fox left. Charlie stepped in. He made $600,000 per episode, did 100 episodes, won Golden Globe nominations in 2001 and 2002, but ratings dropped. He was diagnosed HIV positive in 2011, but may have contracted it years earlier, possibly during that time. In 2003, CBS was hunting for someone wild, not just a good actor, someone whose real life already matched the chaos they wanted on screen. They didn't want a performance. They wanted a man who didn't have to act. So they called Charlie Sheen. When he walked onto the set of 2.5 Men, still wearing the same clothes from a 3-day Vegas bender at the Palms, they didn't flinch. They loved it. His hair was messy. His breath reeked of tequila, but he made people laugh. In the pilot's now famous bar scene, Charlie looked into the camera and started riffing about his tiger blood and Adonis DNA, years before those words would haunt him. Chuck Lorre, the co-creator, just nodded and let it roll. This wasn't acting. This was lightning. The premiere aired on September 22, 2003, and drew 15.4 million viewers, the biggest CBS comedy launch in 6 years. Behind the scenes, they had spent $4.2 million building a perfect Malibu bachelor pad on Stage 25, copying Charlie's real house. $800,000 of that went into just making it look like his home, right down to the fridge full of Red Bulls and vodka. By season 2, Charlie was making $250,000 an episode, but he didn't stop there. It jumped to $1.25 million by season 6. By season 7, it hit $1.8 million. In 2009, he secured something unheard of, a 5% cut from syndication. Every time the show reran anywhere in the world, Charlie got paid. In 2010 alone, reruns brought in $3.1 billion and gave him an extra $24 million. His total haul that year was $48 million. Warner Brothers called him irreplaceable. CBS didn't care what he did off-screen as long as the money kept rolling. The show alone was making $310 million in ad revenue. His contract had odd rules: $50,000 bonuses for each episode he finished sober, and $100,000 fines if he missed more than 2 shoot days per season. He hit a net worth of $150 million. He had it all. But things started to crack in 2006. During the filming of episode 14, where Charlie seduces a nun, he showed up drunk with a blood alcohol level of 0.18. His lines were slurred. They spent $340,000 redoing the entire episode using voice replacement software. Around this time, his marriage to Denise Richards collapsed. She filed a restraining order in April, saying Charlie had pointed a loaded gun at her during Christmas dinner. She described a man who drank 2 to 3 bottles of wine before noon, then used cocaine in his trailer between takes. She had appeared in 3 episodes from 2004 to 2005, earning $75,000 per role. But by season 3, a screaming match on set between them forced security to step in. Production stopped for 5 days. Then, in December 2009, it all exploded. Brooke Mueller, his wife at the time, called 911 from Aspen. She said Charlie held a 4-inch knife to her throat during a fight over his $2,000 a day cocaine binge. He had spent $8,000 on cocaine in 3 days, paying in cash advances against his next paycheck. When police arrived, he had visible track marks on his arms. He spent 30 hours in jail. Season 7 paused for 3 weeks, costing Warner Bros. $2.4 million in lost ad deals. When filming resumed, they wrote his drug use into the script. He gave one of his best performances, while secretly snorting 3 to 4 grams a day. He checked into Promises Malibu for $120,000, but walked out after 19 days to return to set. Then came the diagnosis. In November 2010, after a routine insurance test, Charlie Sheen learned he was HIV positive. He told no one, not the crew, not the cast, not the network, but panic set in. Between 2010 and 2011, he paid out nearly $10 million in hush money to adult stars, escorts, and past lovers. Financial records later showed $500,000 to Brie Olson, $1.2 million to Capri Anderson, and $3.8 million to one unnamed man. He didn't want the world to know, but the payments drained him. His net worth collapsed from $150 million to just $20 million in less than 2 years. At the same time, the show sold to 194 countries for $3.5 billion, and Charlie made $47 million that season alone. He was taking $24,000 worth of HIV medication monthly. He was also spending $15,000 a week on private HIV tests for his partners. Things got so bad that he mortgaged his Mulholland Drive mansion 3 times between 2010 and 2011 just to stay afloat. Then it happened. On March 7, 2011, Warner Brothers fired him. The official reason was felony offense involving moral turpitude after a 36-hour cocaine binge in January that sent him to the hospital with severe abdominal pain. A briefcase full of cocaine had been delivered to his house, while adult actresses wandered in and out. Production shut down. He had entered rehab for the 3rd time, but then went on TMZ and called Chuck Lorre a turd and whatchiscock. That ended it. He sued Warner Brothers for $100 million and settled for just $10 million. The $48 million salary was gone. The golden era was over. Still high, still defiant, Charlie launched a tour. In April 2011, the violent torpedo of truth hit the road. Fans packed Radio City Music Hall, wearing Tiger Blood t-shirts and yelling, "Winning!" On stage, he said he had Adonis DNA and shoved ice cubes up his rectum to stay awake. He bragged about 7-gram rocks and said Mexican cartels cut off his cocaine supply because they didn't believe one man could use that much. His dealer Marco backed it up. Stan Rosenfield, his longtime publicist, quit mid-tour, saying he couldn't lie anymore. In 2012, FX gave him another shot. Anger Management launched with a record-breaking 5.74 million viewers. Charlie made $700,000 per episode. Over 100 episodes, he earned $70 million. But his behavior didn't change. In 2013, he punched a co-star. He showed up high. He trashed trailers. Production costs exploded by $2 million. In March 2014, he disappeared for days. The show limped through the full 100-episode contract, then ended quietly. The energy was gone. The fun was over. On November 17, 2015, Charlie finally went public. He sat down on NBC's Today and told the world he had HIV. He said he'd been paying blackmail money to over 200 people for 4 years, totaling more than $10 million. He said he had no regrets. But lawsuits followed. One ex-girlfriend filed for $12 million claiming exposure. Charlie said he'd slept with over 5,000 women, but insisted no one got infected. He called it a temporary descent into fathomless drinking and abuse. His endorsements vanished. Studios stopped calling. By 2016, his monthly income dropped from $613,000 to just $87,384. Some months, it was barely $6,200. His expenses passed $100,000. He owed $1 million to lawyers, had $600,000 in credit card debt, and was $12 million in total debt. He couldn't afford his $55,000 monthly child support to Brooke Mueller. By 2019, he owed Denise Richards $450,000 in back support. Then came the final crash. In 2017, he overdosed and had to be revived with Narcan. It was his 9th rehab, but something changed after that. On December 12, 2017, his daughter Sammy found him unconscious on the bathroom floor, surrounded by drugs. It was enough. 48 hours later, Martin Sheen stepped in. The family was supposed to go to Malibu for Christmas. Instead, they staged an intervention. Charlie entered holistic treatment. He mixed AA with yoga, meditation, and even horse therapy. It worked. By December 2023, he was 6 years sober. He had gone to 90 meetings in 90 days. His sponsor was a former 2.5 Men crew member who refused to give up on him. Denise Richards praised him in a 2023 interview. For once, he wasn't acting. He was changing.